What is going on? A wise guy here? Got another great video for you guys today. This one's been highly requested. Is Mafia code words finally decoded? How to talk like a real wise guy and make your friends think that you re-actually Italian when you re-not? So let's get into it. Alright, so in the comment section below, if you could just put down the first code word that you remember from Goodfellas. I'm really curious to see how many people are going to say mayonnaise. But no, in all seriousness, let's get right into it. So the first one is meatballs. Now this one was used quite frequently by Tommy DeVito in the movie Goodfellas. And the code phrase is actually a way of asking, where's the money or how much money do we have available? If you were to ask somebody, hey, what's the meatballs? They would reply with either an S in the safe or we got 20 grand in the safe. Another version of this that I came across is that meatballs is actually a request for the cash count. So you would use this when somebody else would be handling the money and you would just say, hey, what's the meatballs? They'd say, it's 1720. You know what that means? It means that there is $20,000 in the safe or $17,000 in the other place, so there you go. That is an example of what the code words would sound like in a conversation. Next up is mayonnaise. The reason why this one is so popular again, it's from Goodfellas. In the movie, you hear the characters say this code phrase multiple times, and each time they do, they follow it up with, on your salad. Now in the movie, it's implied that the person that they're speaking to knows exactly what they're talking about. This code phrase was also used in the book Wise Guy by Nicholas Pileggi, which goes on to prove that this code phrase was actually used in real life, because he did a lot of research for the movie Goodfellas. So that shows you that this was definitely a thing back in the day. Now, what does mayonnaise mean? To put it simply, it means something is set up or it's ready to go. Let me give you an example. Say you were planning a robbery or an assault of some kind. You would tell your friend, hey listen, everything's all set. We're good to go. You would just say, hey, mayonnaise on your salad. Another example of this is you come home and you see your wife eating a salad and you say, hey, mayonnaise on your salad, meaning everything's okay, everything's under control. Like I said, it's just a way of saying everything's set. By the way, I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with the channel, but if you want to see more videos like this, then definitely subscribe. Next up is the code phrase bricks. Now, bricks could have multiple meanings depending on the situation, but most commonly it is used as a way of referring to money. So if someone were to ask, hey, how much money do we have left over from the job? Somebody might reply with, we got 3 bricks. It would mean that they made $300,000 on that job. See, the Mafia used the term bricks to refer to $100,000. So if they had 40 bricks, that would mean that they had $4 million. Next up is the code word salami. Salami could either mean money or weapons. In the movie Goodfellas, Paul Sorvino's character refers to guns as pieces. But in many other cases, you will hear mobsters refer to weapons as salami. For example, grab the salami out of the trunk, or where's the salami at? Basically, it's just another way of referring to weapons. As far as salami meaning money, I wasn't able to find too much on that. Next up is the code word gravy. Gravy is basically another word for money. So if you wanted to ask how much money you were gone, get paid for a certain job, you would ask the boss, hey, what's the gravy on this job? Another example of this is, let us say you paid off a debt and you didn't have to pay as much as you thought you were gone. Have to pay. You could say, wow, that's gravy. Or if you were the person giving the money, you could say that's gravy. It's just another word for money. Next up is the code phrase cold cuts. Cold cuts are basically another way of referring to money. Again, you could use this when asking what you re-gone, get paid for a job, or even when you remaking plans to rob a store or a bank. Could refer to the money as cold cuts. Next up is the term sleep with the fishes. Now this isn't necessarily a code phrase, but it is a common term that you will hear quite often in mafia movies and TV shows. And if you're not familiar with the term, it basically means that somebody has been killed, and their body has been disposed of, most likely in a lake or in the ocean. So sleeping with the fishes is another way of saying that somebody is dead. Next up is the code phrase, high finance. Now this one is interesting because it's not commonly used in mafia movies and TV shows, but it is actually a very common expression that you will hear to this day. So if you were to say to your friend, "I'm going into high finance," it doesn't mean that you're going to work for a company like Goldman Sachs. No, the mafia used the term high finance to mean prison. So if somebody were to say, "I'm going into high finance," it means that they are going to jail. Now I heard that the reason why they referred to jail as high finance was because of the amount of money that the government spends keeping people in jail, seeing as how everybody knows what prison is called now. I don't think that this term is used as much anymore. But back in the day, this was a term that was commonly used. Now the next code phrase is borrowed from another video that I made in the past. It's the code phrase, snow. Back in that video, I went over several code words and phrases that the mafia used, but one of them was snow, and the opposite of snow was shine. So snow meant bad, and shine meant good. So instead of saying I'm having a good day, you would say I'm shining. That brings us to the present day, because nowadays in some cities, the word shine is used as a slang term to mean good. So if somebody were to say, "How you doing?" and you were having a good day, you would say, "I'm shining." But it all depends on where you live, because back in the day, and still to this day in some places, if somebody asks how you doing and you say, "I'm shining," they re-gone, nah, think that you re-anarch because you know the opposite of shining is snowing, and snowing means bad. So if you were to say, "I'm shining," they would think that you re-anarch. But just wanted to throw that little side fact in there. Now before we move on to the last code phrase, I just want to mention that there were several websites that I came across while doing the research for this video that sold books and guides on how to talk like a mobster. And these books and guides contained a lot of information that I already knew about, and some stuff that I didn't know about. So if you want to learn more about Mafia code words and code phrases, then definitely check those out. I will leave links to them in the description below. And now, on to the last code phrase, which is ICE. So in the past, ICE was a code phrase that was used to refer to the police. Now I recently read on a website that ICE could also mean narcotics. So maybe that's another one of those situations where code words can have multiple meanings. But either way, ICE was a code phrase that was used to refer to the police. So if you were to see a cop on the street, you would just say, "Yo, there's some ice on the corner," and everybody would know what you were talking about. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then definitely check out the Mafia playlist that I have going. There are a ton of great videos on there that I know you guys will enjoy. If you learned something new, or if you knew all of this stuff already, let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. Take care.